Welcome to CEO with Sophie. Just a quick note from me. If you like what you hear, go ahead and join the CEO Club right now by hitting that subscribe button. Not only will you never miss an episode, but you'll also be helping us out more than you know. Thank you and enjoy. Today's guest is nothing short of extraordinary. Julia Cai is a seasoned technology executive, entrepreneur, and product strategist with over a decade of experience scaling engineering teams and transforming digital platforms. She has served as the Chief Technology Officer and Head of Engineering for multiple high-growth startups, driving innovation in AI, SaaS, and e-commerce. Julia began her career as a software engineer at Fortune 500 companies before co-founding a women-led technology business that operated successfully for over 10 years and was later acquired. Most recently, she held the role of CTO at Max Retail, where she led the company's shift to a SaaS and AI-powered platform, overseeing engineering, infrastructure, and product development. A recognized leader, Julia has received the 40 Under 40 Leadership Award and Women in Business Award and has been a member of Chiefs since 2020. She's also a proud mother of 3 and a committed advocate for women in technology and leadership. In this episode, she takes us through her journey, step by step. She shares how she's grown as a leader, what it means to be a lifelong learner, and how continuous growth has been the fuel behind her success. And in an industry where women are still outnumbered, she speaks with the kind of confidence, clarity, and resilience that's helped her thrive and compete at the highest levels in a space often dominated by men. It's honest, it's inspiring, it's filled with lessons you can apply today. Whether you're leading a team, launching a startup, or carving your own path, let's get going. Hi, Julia. Welcome to the podcast. I am literally so excited to have you here today. And it's taken me months to get you here. And I'm so happy that you've joined us.
Wow, thank you, Sophie. Thank you so much for having me today. It's
Yeah.
wonderful to see you.
Yeah, and you. So we've worked together once or twice. You actually did an event with myself the other year. When I met you, honestly, I was just blown away by yourself, your background, your ambition, your passion. So yeah, I was chasing after you for a little while to get you here. So literally cannot wait to have this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very honored to be here.
Good. So let's give people a little bit of an understanding around yourself, your background, and who you are.
Sure. My name is Julia Cai. I have just finished a chief technology role for a startup, a fashion startup, and I'm going to join the next startup, a very mission-driven startup based in New York, in a month. And it's interesting that 3 has always been a lucky number for me. The next CTO role will be the third CTO role for me for my career. And I'm also a mother of 3 kids. And I have also got the opportunity to live in 3 different continents, Asia, in the UK, Europe, and in the United States. And on the side, I love music. I'm still playing music. I play 3 instruments. Not very good, but I'm still playing. So 3 is the lucky number for me.
Wow. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's a third business. So no doubt you'll hit the ground running and it sounds like it'll be exciting. So, what I really wanted to get a little bit more of an understanding on and share with people is your background is really interesting. The fact that you have been technical and hands on is absolutely fantastic. But the fact that you've gone from being a software engineer into a CTO position multiple of times now. Really want to get an understanding around that. So, are you able to walk us through your journey from that software engineer into a CTO role?
Absolutely. It's a pretty long journey, Sophie. I I hope I don't take the entire hour, but I try to hit some of the highlights. Okay.
Perfect.
So I was a CS major, started my career actually with a British company as a software engineer. The company is actually located 40 miles outside London. The company grew very fast. And 2 months after I joined, the British company sent me to work in the US office in North Carolina. That was 1999. So, as a young professional and college graduate, I came to the US I joined back then a yarn startup. That was 1999. And as you know, when you work for a startup and you came from the head office, it doesn't matter what title you have to work on every part of the business. So I was a lead developer. I was the HR manager hiring other developers. I was the marketing assistant supporting all the trade shows. I was on the call with customers. And I've done a bunch of things. That early exposure of different parts of different pieces of the business of a tech company really shaped me. So first of all, that company got acquired 18 months after I joined by a US company, US technology company. And then I learned a lot. Not only actually learned how the company could get acquired, but I literally learned from the first job how tech companies built. Then that was end of 2000. As you all know, year 2000, that dot-com bubble, also kind of the Y2K. So in the US, it was just a very interesting time of the year. So immediately I made a decision and say, I need to work for a US company. I want to work for a large company and see how it's like, because the industry was experiencing a major transformation. So I joined a second company named Itron, ITRON. The company was public traded in the utility space, meaning they only serve clients like major gas companies, electric companies, water companies. And I was with them for 7 years. Started from engineer, senior engineer, tech lead, all the way to senior manager, managing 20 full-time developers plus 20 offshore developers. During that 7 years, my biggest learning was scale. How you build systems, large systems, still maintain a high quality and a good performance. And more importantly, what SaaS system really meant. So that was my second job. I spent 7 years there. The other highlight during my Itron 7 years was that I realized very quickly, even though I was promoted to manager, I didn't have all the management understanding. So I talked to the leadership of the company and said, can you please sponsor a top school MBA for me? I commit myself to come back and work for you for a couple of years after I have the MBA. The HR had said, if you could get admitted, sure. So I went ahead and applied and got admitted by Duke University. And that's where I had my MBA. That whole MBA program really changed how I think, who I am, because for the first time, I understand not just the technology company, the business world in general, how the business is run, what role technology played, how similar, how different between a tech company and a non-tech company. And that 2 years have built a great foundation for me to understand running and leading the business end to end. So that's an important milestone. With that being said, when you work at the top universities and talk to the top people all day long, you build great relationships. So I met some great women, great leaders at Duke. They gave me the confidence that I should start my own company. Because during the dot-com bubble time, again, many people started their own company. If you're a developer, you could start your own company. So I started my own company. It was a services company. I didn't know what product to build. My passion has always been music. I said, what could I build? But I want to start a company. So I started the service company. I had one of my classmates join as advisor, but I was the one running it. Then as a service company, what do I sell? I know the first thing I could sell and sell very well is myself. I know no matter what company I join, I do excellent work. I value the quality of my work. So I decided to be the one person company, also the only employee getting a really large contract from a very well-known brand. And the first brand that I was able to sign a contract with, it was GlaxoSmithKline, a Fortune 100 company, also the second largest pharmaceutical company in the world. So I joined GlaxoSmithKline as a company, but I was there to learn, to build my brand, build the opportunity to bring more people to work on a contract. And that's what I did. So I was there for 2 years, build a brand, build a lot of relationships. Using GlaxoSmithKline's brand, I was able to acquire other brands bring more consultants providing services. So I ran that company for 9.5 years. We didn't raise any money. We were profitable from year one, because when you run a consulting company, if you know how to run the business and you have good reputation, it's hard to lose money. You might not be able to grow as quickly as you like as a product company, but you don't lose money. So that was a great journey. The other thing I want to highlight is at GlaxoSmithKline, the company taught me two things. During my time there, GlaxoSmithKline had acquired many smaller life science and biotech companies. Every time there was acquisition, I was brought on to help with the technology integration and merger. That whole process taught me how to acquire a company, how to merge two companies, two teams, and technology and the culture, all that. Well, I was able to do that multiple times at Glasso. The other lesson, big lesson I learned from Glasso is how we do outsourcing at scale. When I was there, GlaxoSmithKline was required to hire 1,000 Indian developers per year. That's just how they run their technology. So I learned how to run the 200 people Indian project offshore, fully offshore. Again, those two experiences helped me tremendously down the road. So I continued my own company journey for about 9 years. At the end of 2018, then I realized, Julia, this consulting company was great. You never lost money. You were able to accumulate your health, your wealth as well, and then you were able to take care of a few people who work with you for a long time. But I also realized that this company was never going to be in the hyper growth mode. Like from 1 to 100x that quickly. At least I have not figured out the secret sauce for that as a consulting business. So I say, you know what? It's time to make a change. You had a great journey. It's time to make a change. So at the end of 2018, I decided to wind down. So I've sold part of the consulting contract to my close relationships. I have given my employees to some of the long-term vendors that I was serving. And then I wanted to relearn the business world, the technology world, and see how I could learn to run a company from 1 to 10 within a year or 2 years. And that is the kind of the startup journey. So then I picked the first company I joined. It was Red Ventures. Red Ventures was a great story. It was a privately held company, but when I joined, it was already valued $50 billion, 3,000 employees, private company. The CEO of the company built the company when he only had 100 grand. He was able to grow the company in less than 15 years to a $50 billion company. To me, in North Carolina, that was one of the fastest growing tech companies and a great, great story. So fast forward, I was very lucky. I joined the company as a VP of engineering. At Red Ventures, we had 1,200 engineers, a few VP of engineering. As you could see, each one of us was managing a few hundred. So that's when I truly learned the scale. I say, okay, how you run a 200 engineer organization, 300 engineer organization. And it was fascinating. The other thing I learned at Red Ventures was the company was structured based on the industry. So it's like the company is run by 7 general managers. Each general manager is like a mini CEO. So I was serving a CEO as a head of technology. For example, under me, I built technology for a 300 people call center, people doing internet support, 300 people. From that call center alone, we were able to generate $200 million revenue per year, just that piece of technology. So that taught me what that means if the phone system goes down for 1 minute, just 1 minute, how much money we could lose. So I learned all that, had a great experiences there. And then the COVID started. What COVID has really changed is that someone like me could work with anywhere. Because in the past, if you want to be on the C-suite, you have to relocate. You have to physically be in the room with all your leaders, but COVID changed that. Nobody is in person anymore. So at the beginning of 2021, at the end of the 2021, beginning of 2022, I was approached by a startup based in New York. The founder has built 2 companies, both went public. And my number one deliverable is to build an engineering organization ground up, because this company was founded by four very experienced Israeli leaders. The entire organization was based in Tel Aviv, Israel. My job is to build out the operation here in the United States, because the company is in the digital health space in a highly regulated industry. We have to have all key operations running here in order to serve American consumer market. So I decided to make a move, leave in North Carolina, join this US-based startup. Started with just 1 or 2 engineers in New York. By the time I left, we had about 100 engineers in New York, 3 product lines, also a division in Ukraine. This is before the war. To diversify the talent, we kept the Tel Aviv office. We built out the U.S. operations and made that a headquarters. We also diversified and built R&D center in Ukraine. So that was a wonderful experience. Also from that journey, because every company is different, I learned that for me, even though at the time I was the head of engineering, leading everything, making all the decisions for technology, to become a true CTO, I have to continue improving myself. I have to work on that title. So at K Health, my title was a VP of engineering, even though I was running data, 3 locations, security, IT, all that. Yeah. But I knew it's going to be a stretch from VP of engineering to CTO. And the only way for me, someone like me, to do that is to probably seek for a CTO role. So after working for K Health for a couple of years, I've only applied for CTO roles. And I was able to get 2 offers and chose one of them in fashion tech. So that was the first time when I actually got the CTO title, because when you work in that environment, sometimes when you work for the company, people felt like if you're doing the job, the title might not be as important. As long as you're doing the job, we're taking care of you. But for someone like me, I do know in the tech industry, CTO is the highest title you could get. If I'm not proactively pursuing that, nobody else will make that a priority. From that first CTO, now I'm able to get the third one, the one that I'm about to start in a few weeks. So that's kind of in a nutshell my journey. I do want to say, after I moved to New York, get to lead K Health for a couple of years, I became even more confident, because I worked as a developer. I worked for mid-sized public traded company. I worked for a Fortune 100 company. I've seen all the mergers, acquisitions, and I built U.S. operations from ground up. And I had the MBA and the 7 years of coding. All that learning across these different journeys made me feel very confident to compete with any male CTO candidates out there.
Wow. I love that. I mean, that story, I'm gonna have to re-listen to that. And I know we've spoken about it before, but it literally shows that you have to be a lifelong learner. Like every time you felt like you needed to learn something, you went out and found it, or, moved businesses, and you were constantly saying, how do I, obviously educate myself with the MBA, but how do I push myself forward and get to that next step and continue to learn? And if I learn this, then it's going to put me in this position. And I think that's incredible that you were able to do that. But what made you think like that? What made you go, okay, I need to learn this now. I need to learn about the business. What sparks, or what like went off in your head to be like, oh, I need to do this?
I think just my personality, obviously, my upbringing, right, all together, just make me a very, I would say, open-minded person in general. Open-minded in the way that I know the world is changing very fast, no matter what field you are in. Being open-minded is really just a basic skill for you to keep up, not even thrive, just to keep up. So I always humble myself and say, Julia, be open-minded, pay attention to what's out there, even though you are doing this and comfortable today, but what is out there? Because if you don't change, you're not moving, you are already behind. It's just that at any day, the world is changing, they're bypassing you. Is at what point you say, hey, wait a minute, I need to do a change as well. So I had that thoughts very, very early on, even when I was in elementary school. So I recognized how fast the environment around me is changing, and what being behind really means. Being behind really means it's not you do less, it's you don't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you had that from when you were a kid, mad. Yeah, that's a great skill set to learn. And many people, even myself, struggle to plan like 3 or 4 years ahead. Is that something that you feel that you've done is always kind of I mean, you definitely think ahead, but have you always planned your next move or your next 5 years? And how do you approach, I suppose, a long-term career planning?
I definitely plan. I plan a lot, but I also plan for pivot. I think that's important,
Yes.
especially in the
Mhm,
current world. So
mhm.
I would say, in terms of career planning, there are few things that are very important to me. So I always have a 3-year plan. If you ask me, what do you like to do within the next 3 years? I'll give you an answer, but I'm also seeing this to happen to myself and to many people that whatever you plan, you might have to pivot. So
Yeah.
just be prepared for that as well. Right. So that's the first thing. The
Mhm.
second thing is I watch and reflect on myself and see whether I'm actually on the treadmill. Meaning we're so used to living in a certain way and working a certain
Mhm.
way day in, day out. It become a pattern. Then a year has passed, then 2 years. Whenever I check on myself and say, wow, Julia, you've been on the treadmill for some time. That's when I really need to do a reset.
Yeah.
So that's the second thing I'm looking for. Is I always must ask myself, are you on the treadmill?
Mm.
The third thing, definitely keep improving yourselves all the time. It could be horizontal skills or vertical skills. Vertical skills meaning the things you already know how to do, but you want to do even better. Horizontal meaning new skills, right? Always improving yourself. And I know many people know that's very important. But I will also say the fourth thing, which is equally important. Working on self is one thing. Making sure people discover your talent, making sure your ability to sell yourself is equally important. So if you want to go for a CTO job, you got to be able to first sell that job to yourself. Yeah, right. So I'm just saying, working on the skills in parallel, working on your selling skills
Yeah. Yeah.
together, it's part of the plan. Yeah,
Yeah. I was speaking to someone the other day, works in sales actually, but from a tech background. And she was saying the same thing. Everyone has to sell nowadays, and that includes selling yourself. If you want to get to the top, you have to sell yourself and why you're able to do that, what you bring to the table. So I completely agree. Life is about selling as much as people don't think that. So yeah, be able to sell yourself is important.
absolutely. So
Yeah. Yeah. Now, what I would like to ask about, because obviously you're very technical, you've been hands on, which is fantastic. And that journey just showed how you got to where you are now, which is incredible. But how did you balance the hands on technical leadership with the strategic business growth as well?
that's a very good question. So first of all, my CTO experiences has all been in the startup world, from Series A
Okay.
to D, and that's where my passion is. As a startup CTO, the framework I use is that it's like a pilot flying a plane. For example, at 9 o'clock, you need to fly the plane really high because you need to prepare for a board meeting. You need to be very strategic. You need to present your mission in a very concise way. You need to understand the business goals just like that. But
Mhm.
at 2 p.m., you need to troubleshoot the production issue with your teams because you're a startup, your teams are still young and small, and the customers are the most important people you have to serve. So you need to fly your plane low. So as a CTO for startup, your job is be able to fly your plane at any altitude. Two hands off as a C-level leader for a startup, regardless what vertical they're leading. I personally have not found that type of style effective. So I first wanted to just say my experience is all around C-level leaders for startup, tech startups, what type of trait and experiences you need to bring to the table, which is being able to work at any level.
Yeah.
To do that, you must develop your business skills, presentation skills, strategic thinking,
Mhm.
because that's what the plane requires you to do. There's no other people. You're the top of that vertical leader. To be able to work with your team members on the ground, build that problem solving culture, build that engineering culture, you also have to go deep truly understand the technology at the level that your conversation with the developers, your problem solving approach with developers is seamless. So I'm very intentional when I learn my own skills, improve my own skills. If you look at every week, if there's always a learning time set aside, there's always a piece on the strategic horizontal piece. What skill I'm lacking today for this company, for the role I'm playing? What vertical skill for the tech stack that I'm leading today, what I need to go deeper. I literally set aside time to do both religiously for all my roles, especially since I became the head of engineering from Red Ventures. Because I actually don't know how to do my job otherwise. If I don't do both religiously, that's how I believe I could bring value to a company to truly understand what they need strategically and what they need at a hands-on level.
Yeah. And we just went back to that lifelong learner thing, right? That you spend time every week on something that you need to learn, which is incredible. And I don't think a lot of people do that. I think people get to a point in their lives or their careers and they don't necessarily keep learning. But I think, you're testament to it, right? If you keep learning, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve and those goals that you have.
Yeah, I think it just be intentional, make
Yeah.
it part of your habit.
Yeah.
Uh, don't feel that is additional time commitment or stretch. Make that
Mm.
part of your work.
Good. And touching upon that, you mentioned that you put time aside per week. Is there anything else that you put time for in the week that's I'm guessing you run off your calendar, right? So is there anything
Yes.
else that you put, in your calendar to make sure that you achieve every week that you think is propelling you forward as well?
Sure, I do read a lot. So there's definitely dedicated reading time every week. I network professionally or also and also outside work because I think it's important to have these regular human interactions outside work with your professional peers. And relationship is just as anything else you do. You got to put in the time. You got to make it long term.
Yeah.
Then you get the most. Like you get the most out of what you put in. It can't be just a one time interaction.
Yeah.
So I put in a lot of time making sure I build the relationships with my professional peers outside work. So
Mhm.
I'm part of the two leadership network. One of them is only for CTOs. One of them is for women executive network. And I put in a lot of time in both and have developed great relationships, had great mentors, and learned a lot from both network. Yeah, so these are the things that I put in a lot of time at week after week, in addition to just the learning, dedicated learning time.
I think the network piece is important. I think every single person on the podcast has spoken about, building a community, building a network, and I think you'll be surprised at what comes from it, and the opportunities that land on your door, or even, something that I've seen is actually by doing this, I've found a mentor that is going to mentor me, which is incredible. And, I think without putting yourself out there and making time for it, it's just not going to happen. So, yeah, I agree. I think it's really important for you to build relationships with people inside and outside of work, and they will help you and propel you, especially if they, help fix other crowns, if they're another female. We love that.
Thank you. And when I build my relationships, I am the one that I always like to just give help as much as I can.
Mhm.
I know some people might evaluate, assess, and they approach a relationship when it's the right opportunity, the right needs. I have a slightly different philosophy. I've always say, okay, if you just committed to a relationship, you give first, you help first, they will definitely, the people you help with will take care of you naturally as well. That has worked out for me every single time. Every single
Yeah.
time. There hasn't been one time professionally anybody needs anything from me. As long as I could do it, I will absolutely do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm exactly the same as you. I will always be the first person to say, I will help you. People actually all day, every day. I had a few this week. Actually, people will go, oh, can you help this person out? Or can you support me on X, Y, and Z? And even if I don't necessarily have the capacity, I'm always like figuring out a solution so I can help people. And it's just about paying it forward. You know, okay, they might not be able to support me now, but in 10 years' time, maybe there's something that they can help me with, and you just never know. So I always think it's almost kindness, right? Is support other people, put them first. Obviously, if you need something, then ask, but you can't expect something for nothing, and you're not going to get anything if you don't actually support people first and show that you are kind and just a good human being.
Yeah, and also it's a great feeling, right? You help someone,
Yeah.
they feel supported, they appreciate your help,
Yeah.
and then that positive feeling just
Hmm.
will come back to you. So I
Yeah.
think even just from just
Agree.
the overall happiness standpoint and the mental health, I think those type of interactions help me in a very
Yeah.
good way. If the people I help, they
Yeah.
write a single few words saying thank you, I really appreciate your help, that just give me a boost of my mood. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, totally. I completely agree with this. Yeah, exactly the same for me. I do things and yeah, I love it when people say thank you or, I'll help people get jobs. And I keep saying this and I'm definitely going to get in trouble for it. But if I can help someone get a job and I'm not necessarily working with businesses, I will. They'll get the job and I feel great. Although it's not part of my company, that's okay. As long as I can help people, that's what it's about. Now, you mentioned you started talking about like habits, and then we spoke about mindset as well. What's one mindset or habit that's been the most like instrumental to your success?
Mindset, I would say, really just be resilient, right? Be
Mm,
resilient. You have no control what's going to happen.
yeah.
You're just a human. You will make mistakes for sure. But as long as you'll keep learning,
Mhm.
reflecting, and giving back to the people in the community, and just resilience could also brings a lot of optimism and brings a lot of opportunities. I think being resilient is very important. Don't ever have one incident, one situation, one bad experiences bring you down or discount your skill set and value. So that's one. So I'm someone who's very hard to discourage. I don't discount or think myself lower for no matter what happened. I
Wow.
think having that mindset is, for me, definitely helped me big time.
Yeah.
As far as a habit, no matter what happened, every single day, I got up at 5:30. Being
Okay.
able to get up consistently early in the morning,
Hmm.
no matter what happened the previous day or what you have to deal with today, uh, it's just power.
Wow. Yeah, I've
Including
gone.
weekends and the holidays.
Oh,
I'm someone don't know how to sleep in. Sometimes I want to
okay.
practice that skill. I actually don't know how, but it's power that you could always get up no
Yeah.
matter what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tricky one. I've gone from struggling at one point, definitely last year, I was struggling with getting up in the morning. Now, actually, I go to the gym in the morning, so I'm up and out early doors every day. Weekends, I never really sleep in anyway. But that is a big skill to get up at 5:30 in the morning because it's not that fun sometimes. So that is discipline at its finest. And you'll be surprised how much you can get done if you're up at that time in the morning as well, right?
Yeah, and sometimes when I get up, I don't just immediately start working, depending on the day.
Mhm.
I could be even doing music. But I think just the power of every day you showed up and you are doing something that matters in your life. It could be for my kids, could be for work, for learning. So and exercise, workout for sure. I just think
Yeah.
being able to get up at 5:30, I found that just very powerful.
Yeah. I love that. And you mentioned around resilience. I completely agree. I think everyone needs resilience. And I think it's really hard. I've actually had a few things lately where I felt like I've made a mistake or I've done something that I maybe could have avoided or whatever it may be. And there was one time, I think it was like literally 2 weeks ago, I did something and I kept replaying it in my head. And I actually spoke to a few people about it. And I was like, I've got to get this off my chest. And normally I can drop things pretty quickly. Normally I'm like, I'll make a mistake and then I've forgotten about it after 10 minutes. This time I could not do it and I really struggled with it. So, what are your tips around a scenario like that? You've got something, you've maybe, done something wrong or you felt like you didn't maybe carry yourself the best, whatever it may be. How do you get over that quickly?
I don't know whether I could overcome that quickly, but I'm definitely at trying, reminding myself every day I need to move forward.
Yeah.
I think typically the two type of situation that bother people the most.
Mhm.
One is you made a mistake. We all do. We're
Yep.
humans. Number two, a situation is really unfair. Like you felt like you done everything right, you put in a lot of hard work, but bad thing happened to you. You felt like it's really unfair. So those are the two things that, like bad things, unfortunate things happen to you, or you actually made a mistake.
Yeah.
At least that's for me. For for the first one, if I made a mistake, I think it's really truly reflect what could be done differently. Write them down. I sometimes record a video of myself too. Record a video myself too. I value those learning moments. I cannot revert what has happened. Nobody could.
Yeah.
But I do think those learning moments are very important. For the second piece, when something really bad happened to you, it's okay to take the time to think and again for days about the situation. We're just human and we need time to process the information. But don't ever doubt you are less than who you are. That's what I assure myself all the time. I say, Julia, it's okay. You're going to take a few days to forget about it. But you are no different from yesterday in terms of your skills, your experiences, your kindness, and who you are. That's what I reassure myself. So for the first type of situations, if we made a mistake, truly reflect, journal, or record. You found the power in that as well. I think people who are able to do that is but also will gain a lot, will do much better the second time.
Yeah.
And just make sure you don't ever doubt yourself when bad things happen. Never doubt. Even there's a period of time you even find you're struggling and say, well, now I'm stuck. I never expected this situation to happen. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Still, never doubt about yourself.
Yeah. That's a really good point that I have to remind myself every day. So yeah, I think that's so important. And I do think journaling, I reflect quite a bit on my days or my weeks sometimes. And I will write down what went well, what didn't go well, and always learn from it. Again, we're talking about that learning piece, always be learning. And that's going to help your development. So I completely agree with those points. Now we kind of touched upon it at the start, but love to hear kind of anything else around really what's next for you. Are there any kind of new ventures or ideas that you're really excited about and would want to share?
Number one, at this stage of my career, I found one of the most rewarding deliverables for me is actually how you see the people who you helped or mentored succeed and grow into the next level roles. I'm really proud that I had two CTO roles going to join as a CTO the third time, but I have already developed three VP of engineering, and all three gentlemen are leading startups today. Greg Gard, who I worked when I was running my own company, George Sapp at Red Ventures. He was my direct report, now leading a startup bigger than the one I just left, doing very well. VP of engineering at K Health today. He took my job. I'm very happy for him. He was my direct report. So to answer your question, I like to help more people and develop more leaders. And it just happened all three were gentlemen. Yeah, this happened. Unfortunately, I have not had many female direct reports, maybe just one, because the people who reported to me were director of engineering, VP of engineering. So I would like to have more women, but all three gentlemen were developed to VP of engineering, and I'm very happy for them. So I want to be able to deliver more or mentor more VP of engineering for the tech industry. They're the ones driving startups. That's a different way of looking at the scalability. The second part, the thing that I wanted to do is really at this stage of my career, it's a luxury that you are able to join a company, often lead a group of great people, engineers, work with a set of cool technology because you're in the startup world and serve a set of customers and solving a problem. I want to be able to contribute in a way, in a giving back way, in a more connecting more with social causes. For example, the company I left, the two CTOs, they were both in the fashion tech industry. Over these many years of working in fashion tech, I personally have led technology that has minimized tens of millions of new fashion item production because the fashion tech company focusing on how we distribute either pre-owned fashion items or items that could not get sold traditionally, we make them available online so that we could minimize the new production and help the environment. Looking back, when I say, hey, Julia, under your leadership, you built technology that minimized 20, 30 million of new fashion items being produced, to me, that's also very rewarding. Similarly, even at K Health, we're a digital health company. When I was there, when I first started, we treated a few hundred patients a day. When I left, we treated a few thousand patients a day. It's just very rewarding, treating people at that scale and making the platform available to them at an affordable price. Just very rewarding. So I want to make sure all my journeys, tech journeys, also connect deeper and deeper with the social causes, the things that people really consider as a human being, human society. And I'm very fortunate to be able to be the leader using technology and the great engineers to help with that.
Yeah. You're in the giving back era. I love it. I love it. I also think actually I should probably get some numbers on this, but even just from my career and seeing it firsthand, I do think a lot of women do actually look for companies where they are giving back or they have some really good social causes. I think that's maybe something we just gravitate to naturally. We want to feel like we're helping others. So I think it's fantastic.
So yeah, those are the bigger things that I'm excited about. If I see another opportunity that connect with the social causes more, if I could use technology to influence them, then that's my expertise. Technology with great engineers, building great teams, providing great solutions and solve that problem or help mitigate that problem.
Yeah. Love it. And also we need to get some more women into VP engineering roles. There you go. Some more people for you to manage and mentor. That's what we need.
Yes, but I would say I'm very happy to see that has changed.
Yes.
That is changing. It's changing significantly. It's order of magnitude different. When the first time I interviewed for VP of engineering at Red Ventures, knowing I would be leading large teams, there were a couple of people who were on the interview panel told me and say they literally haven't seen resumes from women who apply for the role. Like they have never seen even just resumes. This new company I'm about to join, the CEO told me there were two people they're considering. Both are women for the CTO role. Hey, that alone is a huge statement. That means the CEO is open to consider two women candidates, the final two.
That's fantastic. We're seeing it more and more now. And I think it has got a lot better than when I started in recruitment back in the day. So yeah, it's really positive. Now I know we could probably talk for hours, but I won't keep you for hours. I promise. I do have a final question. We ask everyone this question, and I'm excited to see what you say. So this
Sure.
question is: if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Career wise, I would say no matter what role you take on, make sure your work is excellent. You know whether your work is excellent or not. As a leader, your work is evaluated based on how much impact you could bring. As an engineer, your work is evaluated based on the quality, the speed, the cost of your solution. I think no matter how technology changes, how the world changes, excellence is still the number one competitive advantage. There were moments of my career I valued output more than excellence.
I mean, that's just given me food for thought just there. And the output piece is interesting as well because I've had a few conversation on that. So I think that's great. And is there anything, obviously that's slightly more career focused, is there anything just generally in life that you would advise you would have given your younger self?
Listen more. Part of the learning is how much you could listen to other people. Yeah. When I was in my 20s, yes, I was learning, but I still felt like I didn't listen to the people around me or the people who I could learn from as much as I should.
Yeah, that's
So
a good
just
one.
listening more in general.
That's a good one. I completely agree with all of those. I really appreciate you taking the time today. It's been great to get to know you more, hear a lot around your background and your story. And honestly, I'm just so excited to see what more you achieve because I feel like you've got so much coming up and I just feel like you could take over the world, really. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Sophie, for having me and for even just making this podcast happen. I know it's very hard to get something started from the ground. It's even harder if you have to juggle multiple things: the career, the work, your personal well-being, and plus a podcast. So thank you for doing that for the community. I'm here to support you. So
I loved
keep
it.
it going.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.